Hello everyone, and welcome back to my kitchen. Thank you for watching this video. We're gonna get right to it into the next lesson and recipe that we're all going to do together. So as you can see in front of me, there's a few different things scattered, and we have some flour, butter, and water. That could mean only one thing. We're going to be doing something with pastry. All right. This is going to be, I'm going to show you a quick way to do something that's pretty basic and versatile and kind of take you a good distance in your culinary career. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making pie dough. Pie dough can be a little bit challenging, but hopefully I'm going to show you a few steps that are going to make things a little bit more simple for you and easy to do at home. So first, what we have right here are the main ingredients for our pie dough. We have flour, butter, and we have water. Those three ingredients almost alone are all that you need to make pie dough. What I won't be giving you is a recipe, because the simplest way to make pie dough is by using a ratio. So once again, when we say ratio, what do we mean? We mean the amount of an ingredient in relation to one of the other ingredients. Okay, for example, the ratio that we're going to use to make our pie dough is going to be 3 parts flour, 2 parts butter, and then 1 part water. Okay, and once again, that part can be anything. Okay, so for us, what we're going to use is the pound or the ounce. Our ratio that we're going to use for our pie dough, 3 to 1. So our amounts are going to be 12 ounces of flour, that's our 3, 8 ounces of butter, that's our 2, and then 4 ounces of water, and that's our 1. Okay, when you are making pie dough, what's very important is that all of your ingredients are cold. So what I have here is diced butter that I had in the freezer. My flour was also in the freezer, everything nice and cold. And when I measure my water, I'm going to measure it in my cup full of ice. Okay, so that everything is as cold as possible. Okay, so why do you want everything as cold as possible? Because when you make your pie dough, you don't want to melt the butter. Remember that butter is an emulsion. That is to say, it's one thing that's made up of a few different things, but it looks like one thing, right? So if butter were to melt, it would melt into the other things that compose butter: the protein, the water, and the oil. We want all those to stay as one thing, our butter, when we make our pie dough, such that all of those things can help create a nice, light, flaky pie dough. Okay, so one thing I've got to do is put together our RoboCoupe. So this is the other simple technique that we can use to take a little bit of the work out of making our pie dough. When you make pie dough by hand, what you need to do is take your hot hands and work your ingredients together in a bowl. I emphasize saying hot hands because it's the exact opposite of what I just said we wanted to do. We don't want to heat our ingredients when we're making them. We want them to stay as cold as possible. And using the RoboCoupe will allow us to operate quickly, efficiently. So, put together our RoboCoupe, and the first thing we want to do is take our flour and put it inside. And then next, we'll put our butter on top of that. Before I get started with the rest of this, what I'm going to do slippery butterfingers is weigh out my 1 part of water. Okay, so 4 ounces of water. Fantastic. I know it's 4.2, don't come in. Okay, great. Also to this, what I would like to do is add just a little bit of salt. I'll add about 1 teaspoon of salt. Great. Okay, so from here, what we're going to want to do is use the pulse button on our RoboCoupe so that we gently cut our butter into smaller pieces than the cubes are in this flour. We want small pieces of butter to go throughout the flour, and then from there form our dough using our water. Okay. Remember, pulse is the button that allows us to operate the RoboCoupe without it being continuous. So just like this. We'll do it just a little bit more. What you want is pieces of butter about the size of a pea. I don't know, about, I would say, 1/8 of an inch. Okay. Okay, great. So, when you look inside of our flour, you'll see that there's many small pieces of butter mixed in with our flour. Okay, this is great. You may have a few pieces that are a little bit bigger than those small pieces. Don't worry, a few large pieces isn't going to affect your dough negatively. Okay, so now what we want to do is pulse again as we add the ice water. The reason why we want to pulse instead of just turn the RoboCoupe on is that with time, with the blade spinning inside, that will slowly start to heat what's inside of the RoboCoupe. Once again, we don't want to add any heat, so we want to do all of our mixing inside of the RoboCoupe as slow as possible, and we can do that by using the pulse button. Okay, so now we'll slowly add our water until our flour and butter starts to come together like a ball. Okay, so I said slowly until it looks like it's forming a ball, right? We can take this crumbly mixture right now and start to press it together. Okay, it's a little bit too crumbly. I'm gonna add just a little bit more water, I think. Until it starts to form a little bit more. Just a touch more water. Okay, so you see right at this point here where it starts to hold together without all crumbling apart. This is the point in which I'm gonna say we're good to go on our dough. So right now you can make sure your surface is dry. Now we can take apart our Robocoup. Surprise. Okay, and we can turn our dough out onto your table. All right, so now it looks a little bit crumbly on the board, but we're gonna give it just a quick press so that everything comes together. All right, so you wanna go ahead and take everything, form into a bowl. It's so hot in here. Okay, great. Okay, so our dough is here. So what we want to do now is you want to rest this for two reasons. One, you want everything to form together. And two, you want everything to firm up again. You can see is in just the quick amount of time that the ingredients have sat here and then we formed everything together inside of the Robocoup, it's gotten, pretty warm and it's starting to melt just a little bit, as you can see by it sticking on the board. So we're gonna rest for approximately an hour. I'm gonna wrap in plastic wrap and then put it into the refrigerator. Okay, so just like this and into the refrigerator. All right, so it's been an hour. We've taken our pie dough out of the refrigerator. Okay, you see it's a little bit more cool now. a little bit more together. It's still really warm in here, so it's not super, super hard like it would be in the walk-in, but it's still good enough to use. So right now, we have our ball of dough. We're ready to use it, but we're not going to use this entire ball of dough. We're only going to use maybe, let's say, a half. Okay, so first thing we want to do is we want to put flour on our table or our board. Now, when you put flour on the board, what you want to do is toss it to the side so that it makes a dusting. You don't want to drop it in big clumps. You want it evenly spread across your surface. Okay? So just like that, a little flour in your hands too, so your ball of dough doesn't stick too much. Okay, we'll take about half of this dough. All right. Okay. Actually, maybe we'll take this and cut it in half one more time, because right now what we want to do is to roll out our dough into a flat disc, and then from here we can use our dough. Okay, so make this into a ball, and then we can roll it out. I have never owned in my house a rolling pin. So what can you do if you don't have a rolling pin? Well, you can find the straightest bottle possible, and you can use that to roll out your dough. So we'll just flour the outside of our bottle. This bottle happens to be my olive oil bottle. So we can take this, and then we can roll out our dough, just like a rolling pin. Right? So when you roll out dough, what you want to do is start from the middle and then work out. So we'll kind of roll one way and then turn the dough. We can roll another way. And we'll turn a quarter turn, roll again. Turn another quarter turn, roll again. Okay? You want to keep turning one quarter because you want to roll evenly and you want to make a circle, especially if you're making a pie. It starts to stick. You just need to use a little bit of flour. Okay. Now you know that you're done when you get to be about, and I'd say once again, about 1/8 of an inch thick. All right, you don't want to be too thin so that your pie doesn't stay together. Okay, so now we have a nice, even disc, right? Our pie dough, right? Now when you look at it, brush a little bit of the extra flour off, you can see there are little flecks of butter inside. Okay, this is going to help your pie have a nice flaky and airy crust. That butter cooking into the dough is going to create, it's going to melt into water. It's going to make little pockets of air inside, and that's what makes your dough light and crispy, right? So we have this circle of our dough. We don't have a pie tin here, but I'll tell you what we do have. We have a little recipe that we made a little while ago, our shepherd's pie filling. And right now, what we can do, instead of making a sweet pie, we can make a savory pie. This in the United States, we call this a hand pie. So what we can do, we can take a little bit of our filling, and put it into the center. This will be a nice big one. Okay. All right. now what we'll do, we'll fold it over and make a half moon. Okay. Now what we're really looking to do is seal the edge of our hand pie. There's a few different ways we can do it. You could take a fork and push it all together. You can try to make it look a little bit more pretty, and we can make a fold. Okay, just like this, along the edge. Okay, just like that. Nice folded edge of our hand pie. Okay. Nice and simple, just like that. All right. Our unused dough, you can just wrap this in plastic. You can hold it in the freezer for definitely a few months. Now, all that's left to do is to cook and eat this hand pie. So what we're going to do first, we're going to set our oven to 375 degrees. Before we put our hand pie in the oven, we want to do a couple of things. We want to get our cooking equipment ready. So here I have our quarter sheet tray and our pan nonstick spray, and our silpat. Okay, I always like to spray the silpats just out of habit. It's unnecessary because they already are nonstick. Right here, I just have one egg that's been beaten, and just to make sure that my crust comes out nice and flaky and golden delicious on the outside after cooking, I'm going to brush with a little bit of egg. Once again, just to make that crust a little bit more golden brown and delicious looking as it cooks in the oven. All right, just like that. We'll take our pie, put it onto our silpat. Okay, and from here, we'll take it to the oven. (375 degrees) for about 45 minutes. Okay, so 45 minutes have passed, and now we can get to check on our shepherd's hand pie. All right. This is looking as good as I've been poked. All right. So, as you can see, the outside, you can see where it's been, brushed with that egg wash. It's nice and golden brown and delicious looking. And our crust or our pie dough has fully cooked. It has that nice flaky look to it. You see the bottom, right? It's nice and done and golden brown and super hot because it just came out of the oven. So last thing to do is to just break it open and see that nice flaky, oh yeah. So as you can see, when you break a piece off, you can see the nice flaky texture to the crust. It is still super, super hot. But just to show you a little bit of an example of what we want that crust to look like. Okay, so just that easy with the ratio of 3-to-1 with your flour, butter, and water, and the use of your Roku, you can make a nice, flaky, delicious pie crust. And a simple application would be to take an easy filling like our shepherd's pie that we made previously. Put it inside, bake it in the oven, and you have yourself dinner. So I want you all to enjoy. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.